Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I'd like to say Barak Atah, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rukwah HaKadosh, double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, and salutations to the sincere Aki. I'm pushing this truth in all due diligence and sincerity. As you can see from the videos I have here highlighted, a the spirit of war is upon the face of the planet Earth, man. Shit is about to get real, man. You thought things was real. You gotta understand, in the words of Gerald Celente, when people have nothing to lose, they lose it. People are going to go crazy, man. You see, back in the day, you had it to where Jake were, niggerish amongst each other. But when Esau Edom came around, particularly the police, they were scared to show their fangs, man. They would hide, they would run away, pretty much. They beg for mercy. But now you have it to where people have got to a point where they're so vexated in the society, they're out here warring in the streets openly. You've got an example right here. It says here, machete thugs hack each other. Look at this. And knife gangs attack police. In Night of Carnage, you had it to where gangs actually attacked the police. You see, back in the day, couple years back, these gang members will see police and flee, man. They would have that fear factor, but the Lord is drawing back that spirit of Esau to the point where these two-third Jakes are out here pretty much willing to take him out also if they got to, man. And these are police officers, might I add, that they're gonna attack in the second vigil that I believe is a part of this, man. You know, if not mentioned in the article supporting this. What you gotta understand is people have got to the point in the society where they have nothing to lose, man, and they're willing to let it all go, man. You know. And that's the majority of people out here, and that spirit of desperation is only going to continue to increase. That's why the book tells us in Second Timothy, the Bible tells us in Second Timothy, the third chapter, that the love of people in the last days, people shall, you know, pretty much become worse and worse. The uses shall become worse and worse. The scripture says also that because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. People are just gonna grow that nonchalant, desensitized spirit of, fuck it, man. I might as well go all the way left because there ain't nothing left here. That's the kind of spirit that's in the land, and is only going to continue to fester as things go on. They're talking about shutting down the night tube for a whole 6 months. We're not shutting it down, but the drivers going on strikes or having disruptions and delays. All kind of madness, man, is going on, and it's all pretty much through the will of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai Bashem, Rukwah on the left hand side, man, to bring chaos and anarchy upon the face of the planet Earth. That's why in Amos the 5th chapter in the 18th verse, the day of the Lord is described as darkness and not light, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or leaned his hand on a wall and a serpent bit him. Shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? Ultimately, what you gotta understand is, you might be in a situation, if the Lord didn't put the hedge around you, where you might escape from one of these dudes. Then you might run into a wild animal that's trying to gnaw, your legs or your hands off. Then you might run away from that and end up in a situation where you're around a bomb or something, or some sort of device. And you might run away and end up in a place where people are infected with a medical plague, man, that Esau Edom's created. You might run into an earthquake zone. The day of the Lord is going to be perpetual horrors, perpetual troubles, man. And that's what the Bible prophesies. And ultimately, man, the people are going to be totally desensitized and out there for themselves, man. Either trying to eat people, rob them for what they got, or ultimately just kill people out of frustration.
Go inside, Sean. Stab him. They're gone. What's happening? Get up! Stop!
For the sake of the video, I'm not going to comment too much. But you get the gist of what's going on. You have another video. You can see what the title. You can see what the title of this says. This was 2 days ago in Croydon, 10 a.m. in the morning, my ad. You can see the title. And essentially here, you see that the thug kicked the police officer in the head and pretty much continue to abuse and attack his colleague. In Kazakhstan right now, they're going crazy, fighting and with the police, man, driving cars into police, trying to kill political figures, man. You know why? Because ultimately speaking, these people have had enough, man. They've lost it. Second Ezra, the 15th chapter and the 14th verse. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition, meaning ill feeling among men, and as a result of that, there's going to be a lot of fighting and invading one another, running up into each other's houses. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. People are not going to take account the hierarchy. They're not going to look at a police officer as someone that's above, above their reach that they can't touch. They're gonna look at people like that and think, hey, you're flesh of flesh, bone of bone, man. And at the end of the day, man, our society is in anarchy, and if I got to go to jail, it's not gonna be anytime soon anyway. So hey, fuck it. That's the way people are gonna be thinking. People are literally going to the raw element of mankind, as Heath Ledger said, man, when he was speaking to Batman. These civilized people, when the chips are down, they'll eat each other, man. You best believe it, man. People are going to lose their minds. They're going to go crazy, man. And they're really gonna show their dark side in these last days that we're living in. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in the power. Which means that the wickedness that these people have in their minds to do unto others is going to be perfectly, manageable, man. In those days, people are going to be able to obtain firearms, weapons, knives, and take out of their houses and take these things out into the streets and attack people, because there's going to be chaos all over the planet, man, and all over America and all over, places like here, like the UK, Netherlands, France, Spain, etc., Italy. It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Lockdowns. You had a situation recently in the States where a man torched his ex-girlfriend's house and pretty much burnt her whole property, man, her flat. He attacked. I don't know if he used Molotov cocktails. I don't know if he threw a match in there, whatever. But you had it to where a Jake pretty much burnt his ex-woman's house down, man. People are going to destroy each other, man. They're gonna come for each other's necks because of the fact that they're not gonna have nothing to lose. A lot of women are going to die, man. Women that have been out here first trapping men, disrespecting their partners. A lot of judgment is about to get passed upon the face of the planet Earth. This is the time of the Lord's judgment that we're living in, and this is why the world is in such anarchy. Because in Matthew the 24th chapter, he said and prophesied to his disciples, Yahushua, that all these things would have to come to pass. They were necessary evils, man. Meaning that ultimately you got all of these coons out here thinking that they know the Lord, praying and begging the Lord to stop the destruction upon the face of the planet Earth and make it peaceful, not understanding that in order for the peace to come under the rightful rulers Israel, violence and destruction has to come at this present moment in time, on the Esau Edom. A lot of Jake just can't comprehend that their prayers are folly, man, to the Lord, and the Lord ain't listening to that. But anyway, but because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. And man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. People can't even afford the cost of living. People are having to choose with it between feeding their children and heating their homes, man. In Kazakhstan, people are going crazy to the point where now the government has straight up said they're gonna allow lethal force via shooting, man, in the streets.
Tonight, bloodshed on the streets of Kazakhstan as protests take a deadly turn. Shots ringing out across the city of Almaty. Security forces say they, quote, eliminated dozens of demonstrators, leaving more than 1,000 injured after swarms of armed protesters sieged government buildings and set them on fire overnight. Footage showing a car plowing through a line of officers responding to the protests. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev's residence in Almaty desolate and charred. A day after armed protesters broke in, their burnt-out trucks lodged in security checkpoints.
This shit looks like a GTA movie. People are driving trucks into buildings, burning them down with firearms.
Russia and its allies sending armored vehicles and soldiers to the region. The unprecedented show of force marks the first time the Collective Security Treaty Organization, or CSTO, the Russian equivalent of NATO, has deployed troops to aid one of its member nations.
This will be a big test.
Hey, well, you get the point. Hey, man, a time of trouble such as has never been seen upon the face of the planet Earth. Daniel's 12:1 is on the way, man. Be prepared, man. Be spiritually prepared, because when this comes, man, it's gonna hit like a ton of bricks. May Yahweh Ba'ashmi Hawashah Ba'ashim Rakah Hakadash be with us all. And until the next time, I say Shalom. Shalom, Akyam. Yahweh Ba'ashmi Hawashah Ba'ashim Rakah Kadash Barakatham. Shalom.